My guest today is a trailblazer. More than 2 decades in New York City television, and she was the first Latina chief meteorologist in New York City. Audrey Puente, welcome.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here.
I am too.
Also my friend, that's the other big
Right.
that's the other big title you have.
Yes, we're very good friends.
You grew up in New York City.
I did.
Were you born, where were you born? Up in Harlem or where?
When I was born, in Manhattan, and grew up around the corner from where I live right now. And then we eventually moved to Rockland County, north of the city. So I actually technically grew up in the suburbs for most of my formative years, but I've lived in the city longer.
And you had a great childhood too, because your father was an entertainer.
Yes.
Tito Puente, you were able to see him performing. You grew up in all these awesome, cool experiences. And as a real New Yorker, having an entertainment family.
True. I did have an unusual childhood. I now know that. At that time, I didn't think so. I thought it was just the way we were. Although I did feel a little strange when my father didn't go to an office like all my friends' fathers did. But yeah, my father was Tito Puente, the king of Latin music. And I got to experience a lot of amazing things being his daughter. Performance
ran in your blood because then you became a meteorologist.
True.
And you've worked at 4 different TV stations in New York. Is that right?
Yes.
4. And so I did the math, I did some calculations. I was like, she's my friend and she has a couple titles. Yeah. So first Latina chief meteorologist, that is awesome. Mm-hmm. Also longest running New York City and maybe in the whole country. I mean, to go this long period of time, we'd have to see other people longer.
Actually, my cohort, Nick Gregory, has actually been there for 30 years.
30 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. I actually used to tug on his suit jacket to learn about the weather back in the day because that was my first job out of college, was being a trainee at Fox 5. And he was the meteorologist there. And I would often come in on weekends just to hang out with him and learn a few things.
But you didn't stay in New York right from there. A lot of people don't know you lived in Georgia and Mississippi.
I did.
That's about as far away from you can get as a Manhattan experience.
True. And being a Puerto Rican New Yorker in those states, it was quite interesting. But I loved the experience. It was great.
When you look now at what happens in the Southeast with weather and just how stormy and volatile it is, do you feel like the Southeast has worse weather than New York, or because ours changes so dramatically, is that the extreme?
Yeah, we have more seasons. Like the winter is longer, the summers are shorter. It's just different. Like down there, I actually got to see textbook weather, like hail, severe weather, severe thunderstorms, tornadic activity. I mean, we kind of see that here, but not like you see there, where it's in the plains and you're chasing things. It's great.
Yeah, New York, you've been so successful with your weather coverage, not just forecasting, but also the stories that you've told. You've won 4 Emmys.
That's right.
That's awesome, girl.
Yes, I'm proud of every single one.
I think one of the coolest things about winning an Emmy is getting the getting the gold statue. It's like thrilling, right?
It is when you get the box. The box is gold too. For people that don't know, the box, when you open it up, it's actually gold. And you pull it out, and there's the Emmy. That's when they deliver it to your house.
Yeah, it's nice because it represents some of the hard work that you've done in the business, and so it's a great representation. Awards are important, and the other award that I wanted to ask you about is you got to accept the Grammy for your dad. Was that like, 15, 20 years ago?
Yes. That was posthumous. He had won. We were at actually the first Latin Grammy Awards. That was in LA. The first one was actually delayed because of 9/11.
Right.
And so we went later on, and we picked up the award for him. It was pretty wild. Yeah. And we also did it for the regular Grammy Awards too. It's kind of surreal. It really is. But it was a wonderful honor.
You've made your own name for yourself in New York, but your dad's name's still around.
Yes.
I mean, if you go up into, is it Spanish Harlem? Or
yeah,
where is
East
that?
Harlem. We call it Tito Puente land because there's a school named after him, there's a post office named after him, and there's a street, which is East 110th Street. That was the street that he grew up on. So it was renamed Tito Puente Way right after he passed away. It was actually in the works before he passed away, and then a few months after it actually became. But I didn't actually go to the ceremony because he had already gotten me a plane ticket to go to Hong Kong at that time to go with a friend. Yes. So, and my mother had said at the time, because he had just passed a few months earlier, she says, "No, you go on the trip." And so I went to Hong Kong. I actually missed the street because my dad sent me to Hong Kong. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
But we've been by the street before. It's been fun. And I've been with you many times in New York City where people will stop you on the street.
Yes.
And they'll say, "I love you doing the weather." And then they've got a story about your dad.
They do. And I love that because it's like filling in like puzzle pieces, like the story of his life. Because when someone tells me about an experience, I think of it as like, oh, okay, that's another piece of the Tito Puente puzzle that I get to know about. I love hearing the stories. It never bothers me when someone stops me to tell me.
Yeah, I love that too. It's kind of cool and fun. And plus, your brother is still performing, and so you know the whole family has a performance gene. Did you ever think about singing or doing music?
Well, I started off with the flute. I played the flute as in elementary school.
Dude, I didn't know this.
Yes.
Flute?
You know me so long. You didn't know this. Okay,
Flute?
now we're getting to the real stuff, right? Okay. Yes.
Breaking news.
That's how I learned to read music, was playing the flute in the school band and then the orchestra. And then I self-taught myself piano. My father was there to like guide me along, but I played straight for 10 years. And then I did the handbell choir. I did the timpani, you know, the chimes. I've done all kinds of like kind of percussion instruments. So yeah, but you know, that it's in the blood.
Yeah. You had
no
the
singing though,
performance
just karaoke.
Okay, very good. That's good. Do you think I want to be a meteorologist? When did that little bug? Because some people say, oh, I was out chasing storms when I was 10. Or how did you kind of get that sensation of, hey, I like science, I want to do this?
Well, I always loved weather. It was just for as long as I can remember. I just always was fascinated by it. My earliest memory of being impacted was when Hurricane Frederick came through and it crashed a window in the kitchen. I remember as a child we were really scared, but for some reason I was fascinated. And I was roughly thinking about 10 years old. And when I went to college, I actually went to become a lawyer in the music industry. And it wasn't until my last semester at Syracuse University where a friend of mine who was already interning at the NBC station came to me and said, hey, you're always watching that stupid weather channel. Why don't you go for the weather internship that's opened up at the station? I said, well, really? That sounds fun. I'll do that. It was my last semester in college. I was going to go to law school. And then the weatherman there, Rob Garino, he put me in front of the camera. And that was it, the end of the story. He said, have you ever thought about doing this? And I said, no, I was going to be a lawyer. And he said, I think you might have a future. And that was it. I graduated, told my parents I'm not going to law school. And they said, what are you going to do? And I said, I want to be a weather person on TV. And that was, changed the trajectory of my life, that internship.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And Rob's a great meteorologist.
Yes,
he's really, I think he's doing a lot of private meteorology these days, but he's
consulting.
He's really a great meteorologist. So you've kind of had this really incredible career in the city of New York. When you think about the weather in the city, is it a struggle to be in the elements, or is it the reward of seeing something every day? Like, how do you feel about being a New Yorker? Because we all have to deal with the weather. Even people who aren't geeking out about it, like us, you still have to know the weather because you got to know what you're going to have to carry, how you're going to get through the day. How do you see it day to day? You also have 3 kids that you have to get through the day.
Right. And so, I mean, one of the reasons I think that fascinated me or pointed me in the direction of doing weather on television is that I love that it's a part of people's routine in the mornings. Like that, everyone needs to know whether it's a morning at night, how am I going to prepare for whatever it is, because weather influences that. What's great about forecasting in New York City is that we get to go out, meaning us, right? We walk the streets. So I get to see who listened and who did not listen to the weather forecast. I see you. Like if you're not wearing a jacket or you don't have your umbrella, like I'm seeing you and thinking like, okay, you didn't watch. She's prepared. She watched. He's prepared. Things like that. So it's kind of fun doing that in New York City.
We get to see the results real time.
Yes, we do.
With the audience, which is fun. Now, Audrey and I have known each other for more than a decade.
Yeah.
So when I was preparing for this, I thought, what if we did like a newlywed game? Newlywed game, for if you don't know what that is, it's like you're supposed to sort of read the other person's mind or how well do you know them. Okay. So I prepared 5 questions.
Should we just tell people though that like we're really friends?
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Like
yes,
this is the most weather we have talked about together and since we've known each other.
Yes,
because people think when they see us that that's what we talk about all the time, and we don't. We rarely. I could probably count on one hand how many times we talked about the weather, and this is one of them.
Right. and we've lived in the same neighborhood, so we've talked about other things, our families, our friends, the things we do every day or whatever. So that's why
we're actual friends.
That's why I feel confident about the questions that I gave you.
Oh boy.
Which you have not told me, we've not discussed these, but I think I know them already about you. And so I've asked Jay, my man behind the curtain, to read the questions, and then you'll answer. And I have pre-put my answers onto these fancy answer things. So we probably have music. We'll roll the music.
I feel like we are being like a married couple here.
Sometimes, sometimes we are. So, okay, let's go. Jay, I'm turning it over to you.
All right, here we go.
Well, I could say, what could be the name of the game?
This is our segment called How Well Do You Know Audrey?
Perfect.
There will be 5 questions and answers, and you'll be scored accordingly. Here we go. Question number 1. Other than being a meteorologist, What was the other thing you wanted to be when you grew up, but you could never be that?
It was an MTV VJ. I was going to be an MTV.
Oh,
What?
it was this.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
Wow.
They were at the station today. And I just told everybody how I wanted to be a rocket when I was little.
I'm telling you, this is what you wanted to be, except for a meteorologist. And the reason you can't ever be one is because you're too short.
Right. You have to be 5'6" without heels. I just said this to everybody at work today. They were in our studio.
I know her better than she knows herself. Okay, that was number one. I'm kidding.
You're right. You're
I got a
absolutely
point
right.
for that.
You're right about me. I'm wrong about me. You're right.
Question number
prove.
2.
Okay.
If you aren't in the city, what's your second favorite place to be?
The beach.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 point.
I got
over
it
2
right.
points. Okay.
I got it right.
You got it right. Okay.
What's your favorite thing to celebrate?
If you don't get this one, I cannot believe you.
Birthdays.
Whose birthday?
My birthday? Oh my God, it is my birthday. Yes, it is my birthday.
Her birthday. Okay. Good.
right.
So far, so good.
This
Wow, that's really good.
Okay.
You do know me.
this next one we have in common.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh boy, I'm nervous.
What's your drink at Starbucks?
Oh, the medicine ball. No honey. Tall. Yes, you got it. Med ball. Yes. Oh my God.
Medicine ball.
Oh my God. I discovered that with you.
Right.
Okay, story time. Can we do story
Yes,
time?
let's do
Okay.
story time.
I had the flu. And I was achy. I hadn't gone out of my apartment, and I so needed something. You came over and walked me to Starbucks. You said, "Let's go get some air." We walked to Starbucks, and I said to them, "I just want something like hot and lemony." And they told me about the medicine ball.
Off the menu.
Yes,
Medicine ball.
Yeah, it's on their secret menu. I think.
Secret menu.
Yeah. So it was you that brought me there. We discovered it.
Yeah, and you always get it, so I knew that was going to
Yeah.
be an easy one. Okay.
All right, last question. Would you rather cook or go out?
That's hard.
It's a trick question, but I hope
It
you
is
get
a
it
trick
right.
question. Oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna say cook. It is go out. It is go out.
She's
It is
going to
go
say
out.
cook if it's for her kids, but go out if it's for her. True or false?
Yeah, my daughter's nodding. Yes.
Yes, cook if it's for her, but if it's for
It's
kids,
kids.
but go out if it's for her.
Okay.
How'd I do?
You did better than me.
Anyway, I thought that would be fun. A
That's
lot
funny.
of people don't know because they think maybe think that meteorologists are rivals.
Oh my gosh, I get
Right?
that. I've gotten that
People
my entire
People think that
career.
we're rivals,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, they're surprised that when they see me hanging out with other meteorologists, especially in New York.
Right.
When I say that I'm friends with somebody, like, really? Isn't that your competition? And I say, no, no.
No, not competition at all. In fact, I think that there's a strange bond, maybe unspoken bond, between meteorologists before they ever meet because of what we do
Right.
and kind of the strain that it can put on you. Because there are a couple of things. First of all, the schedule. You've probably worked every schedule in television.
Yes, absolutely.
Which includes,
Mornings, midday, and evenings.
meaning waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
2:30.
Yeah, 2:30 in the morning.
alarm goes off at 2:30.
And then sometimes not getting home until after the late news. You get home 11:30 midnight. It's very late hours. We work holidays.
That's right.
Vacations are
Weekends.
limited. Weekends. All those kinds of things. So immediately when you see somebody that's been through that
The
same,
ringer. We've been through the weather ringer.
and so you immediately have that in common.
It's true.
And then the other thing I think that is the common bond is there's a certain pressure in meteorology. Meaning, when you forecast snow, you don't really sleep until you see the snow.
That's true. Yes, that is true. That is true. Because we want to know if we got it right, right? Which most of the time we do, right? It's about the data. But, in New York especially, it's difficult because we're on that rain snow line. That's my least favorite thing. I can't stand forecasting for sleet or rain snow mix. It's the hardest because we have the influence of the ocean. Oh my God, this is way more weather than we ever talk about. This is hilarious. I'm talking about it with you. Yeah, the ocean. We have the ocean influence. We have the mountains inland. It's the city sidewalks are warmer. Then you have the grassy surfaces. We have everything here, so it's very difficult.
Yeah. So I think that gives the meteorologist sort of the common bond,
True.
So
We're all in it together.
We're all in it together.
We are in it together.
Yeah. I want to go kind of back to where we started. What do you meaning where we started was you have been a Hispanic woman in a business that's traditionally not reflective of you and your culture. What kind of obstacles did it set up for you? And how did that kind of thicken the skin or make you who you are, sort of mold you in a way?
Interesting. Well, I came into this industry when it was predominantly male-oriented. I'm talking about in meteorology, especially television meteorology. So I stuck out like a sore thumb, I feel like. I went to a lot of weather conferences. It was the difficulty was to be taken seriously. I think that's what it was.
It's funny you say that. I don't want to interrupt the story because I want to hear more on this, but I'll just give you one quick thing that I did because I had that same feeling is when I went to Chicago, I wore dark suits, like button-up suits or blazers, because I wanted to be dressed like the people that they were familiar seeing.
True. Yes. And back then, I think it was common for women to wear suits.
Pantsuits and stuff.
It's true, because I had one in every single color with the matching eyeshadow.
Right.
I did. And even today, I still feel that, even though I've been doing weather in New York City for 25 years. I just had my anniversary. And there's sometimes like, oh, you're really a meteorologist? And I'm like, yes, I have a master's degree. And so, but coming up was definitely more difficult. I think I've just established myself more now and proven myself in a way. But having to do that at the beginning, that was the challenge, was to be taken seriously by the men in the field, especially. And I think I did pretty good, actually, because being a minority, female and Latina, I think also helped because I was an anomaly, right? It was something different. It was something, uncommon. So I feel like I sort of, had a way in because I was something different. And
people kind of paid a little bit more attention, and then if you proved yourself, it was a good match.
Correct. And let's be honest, like a lot of people thought I got where I was because of my father. And I
didn't think about that.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Because you know me well enough. You know me.
But you're right. Because of his legend, they thought maybe you were getting an opportunity.
Absolutely. And had I been in the music industry, I would have been in, okay, fine. Nepotism is obvious, right? However, I'm in a completely different industry. And luckily, though, I mean, I proved myself. So I don't even, it doesn't even bother me if people even still think that, which I don't think they do. And if you do, okay. but I feel like I did the work. I've done the work. I've earned the degree. I have the knowledge. So in the beginning, that was a struggle too for me.
And the other thing that's interesting is that now that people see you on TV, myself, I watch you, but people who watch us on TV, they see a certain persona of who we are. Now, I will say, because I know you, I feel like you are yourself on television. Like, I just know you, and you are who you are, and I can see it. But then when people see you sometimes in real life, they'll say things to us. And you know what I'm talking about? Like they'll be like, oh, you're shorter than I thought you would be.
Yes.
Or the best one is the reverse of that. You look a lot taller on TV.
Yes, I get that all the time.
And so people forget that we don't live in a box. That there's other things happening in the life.
Yeah. It doesn't. I know I wear 5-inch heels, so I get that when they say that. So I'm okay with that. Yeah. For the most part, it's more like you're smaller than I thought. It's really you're smaller than I thought. I don't know what that means, if it's shorter or otherwise, but I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, it's funny because people will say things to kind of be shocked to see you out of a television arena and that sort of thing. Is there anything that has ever happened to you that's kind of been unusual with viewers, or I don't want to use the word scary, but is there anything that's been unusual or a little shocking, or has anybody asked you to do things before in real life because they feel like they know you on TV?
It's funny. I got, for a long time, people would come to me and say, I love you, I watch you all the time. And then, hey honey, come look, it's Daisy Fuentes. It's Daisy Puente.
You're kidding me.
I swear. This has happened to me
That's
countless
so flattering,
times.
though.
Right, exactly. At least it's somebody like, famous, attractive, beautiful, right? It's so funny how they're my biggest fan, and then they call me Daisy Fuentes.
They certainly know who you are.
Yes. So it's pretty funny.
That's pretty.
Yeah, I do laugh. I never take offense to it. I didn't. Yeah. I don't really hear it much anymore, but I did for a long time, for several years. I was always like, and I never met Daisy Fuentes. I really would love to at some point.
There's your doppelganger right there.
Right.
The other thing is that in television, we have to not only look a certain way each time because people are looking for a brand, they're looking for familiarity. You don't want to distract from the message. So we're looking a certain way. Every time we're on TV, we're trying to make that image be what people expect. There is that. But the other thing I think people don't realize is that sometimes you wake up and you don't feel so great, or you're not having the best day. And we're still going in and you're delivering and doing your job, even though, I mean, that's been tough for me over my career.
Really?
Yeah. It's been like, some days it's like, okay, this is a day that I really don't want to. But the one thing that kind of changes for me is when the microphone turns on and I start to think about the message, kind of the other stuff goes away.
Yeah. It's like the red light syndrome. When the red light goes on, we're on. We're on. Fortunately, I love what I'm doing, so it makes it easier, right?
Right.
It's not I really enjoy what I'm doing, and so I could just turn it on.
Yeah.
Even when I'm not feeling well.
And so you can go through and you can have like this great experience because it's a topic that you want to talk about. It's a message that you want to get across to people. And that's what allows people to have the consistency. I think that's the impressive part of longevity. When you look at someone who's been in this business for 25 years doing it, and you can be consistent in that way that carries the brand through, it's like a spot on type of thing.
Well, you also have to love it.
Yeah,
because people ask me like, how do you get up at 2:30 in the morning? And I was like, well, I love my job. You have to love what you're doing in order to do that all the time.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything else like meteorology? Is there any job that's somewhat similar or comparable?
No, I can't think of anything at the moment. You're thinking of something.
Brain
Cooking.
surgery? No.
Oh, brain surgery.
No.
I was thinking more like ingredients with a chef, how they put everything together and they come out with something like just spectacular, because meteorology is similar. We deal with a lot of ingredients of the atmosphere to combust and develop storms and other things.
And you have to tell a story about it. Like, it's got to make sense to people. You can't even just look at the science and say, hey, we've got a cold front and a low pressure system and a high pressure system and they don't want to hear that. They want to know what it's going to feel like.
Right. Well, I think it's our job really on television is to take the science, all the data, and water it down for our viewers to understand so that they know what they need to do to prepare.
And then this is the other category that I love to talk to you about, and we have talked about this before, is that there's always that sweet spot for mixing things up, which involve our personal life, our family life, and our work life. How do you make sense of all those things? Do you balance it? Do you feel like you master it, or do you have tricks of the trade? Like,
definitely have not mastered it. Definitely have not mastered it.
It's tough sometimes.
It is. In fact, on my X handle, I call myself the life juggler because I'm constantly juggling balls. Is what I feel like. It does sometimes feel like you're living in like a compartmentalized life. Like there's separate parts of you. So it is a balance. I don't know if I think I'm balancing it. Yeah, I'm balancing it the way the atmosphere. Look, we are talking so much weather. I'm balancing it the way the atmosphere does. Right?
I love that.
Sometimes
that's
it's
like a book
combustible.
Right there. That
right?
is a book.
It's going to be in my.
Yeah, it's a book.
It's in my
Put
one
that
of
in
books.
your book.
Yes.
I like it. But I think for me, I gave up the balance, and I think you do this too, being your friend and seeing you. And I switched to prioritizing.
Yes.
Because I just had to say, well, what's important right this second? Like, I would never say to my boss, you're not that important right now. But there were times when your family becomes the priority and you have to switch those. And there is the juggling routine and realizing that.
That, and also trying to make myself the priority every now and then. I'm working.
Talk about personal, because it's...
Right, it's very difficult. I've definitely been on the low part of the totem pole a lot of my life, and but as I'm getting older and my children can now feed themselves and do things for themselves, I can sort of get a little moment here and there to do something for myself. And my daughter's really sweet. She'll often point out to me like, "Why don't you do this for you, Mom? Why don't you get something for you or something?" It's sweet.
Yeah.
But I think that comes with any territory of being a mom, especially, and then if you're a working mom too, figuring it out still.
Yeah, it is. It is a process. And I think most working moms, whether they're in TV or some other type of job, are all in that how did we figure this out, or what should I do, or how do I make sense of all it? And I believe in the priority system really, really intensely. Okay, our jobs are special, is what I like to say. We have special jobs. Doesn't make us great, doesn't make us any perfect people, but we have special jobs which lead to special experiences. what are some of the things for you that have been like sort of the reward of the job, the highlight of the job, wow, this never would have happened to me if I hadn't been doing this?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot, people you've met, places you've gone.
That would be it. It would just be the access that we've had, whether it's to people, places, things, right? A lot of it comes with the job itself. But that was part of being, I think, on television. I think it's the television part of the job. The weather part, I'm not so sure about the weather part, because
the weather part for me is that no one is afraid to ask you.
Oh, I love that.
So you are exposed to people that normally would not speak to you. So, but they see you and they're like, what's the weather going to be?
Yes.
My wedding is here. What is going to happen?
It's true, yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. So that for me is the weather part, is you're exposed to people that you never would have been exposed to.
Right.
But then there's this privilege. I mean, I bet if I ask you in the last month, have you met someone through your television job that you would not have met, that's famous or special or interesting?
Yes. I just met...
Right, Nick Koser, the Dancing Weatherman,
right.
True.
And the Rockettes this morning, right? Because
these are examples, yeah.
At the Rockettes, how would I meet them? Otherwise, they came to my studio today, right?
Right.
A lot of celebrities come to our studio. So, yeah, and it's funny when we walk in, I never know who I'm going to see or what's going to be happening, because I tend to come into work during the time of our morning show. And it's a lot of craziness in a morning show. Any morning show you watch, you see crazy.
Right.
Like, I'm walking into that every day, and I never know what I'm going to see. And I try to be like, put together, because I'll get, can I get a picture with you, right? That kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I have no makeup on, no hair. But now I've learned, I got to show up already done.
Be ready to go.
Somewhat, yeah, because I never know what I'm walking into. It's funny, because outside our studio, if I see the paparazzi, then I'm like, oh my gosh, who's here?
Right.
Who's here?
Someone famous.
Someone big is here. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, very much. Okay. Before we go, I wanted to ask about the people that you work with, because all the stations that I've worked with, different from you. I've worked in different parts of the country over my career. You've worked generally in the same spot, and you've had a good stay too at Fox 5. What do you have any thoughts about your coworkers? I mean, we spend so much time with the people that we are broadcasting with. Literally, they are the second family, and you have to adapt and adjust to what people's ways are and how they do things. And I really think that there's like the professionalism that people see, and then there's other things where these people are there for you in the hardest of times, or you have to be there for them in the hardest of times. I really think it's an interesting dynamic, the TV family, that people don't see behind the scenes.
It's true. Well, interesting enough, I was about to say my TV family doesn't see my behind the scenes too, because I tend to maintain a very professional aura when I'm at work. I just feel it's important. I don't tend to socialize too much with people outside of work. You won't see me, well.
You're going to see it with me, but
yeah, exactly, right. There's a few people. My weather team in itself, I've known a long time. I'm talking like 30, Nick I've known for 30 years. Like, so I tend to know more, we know more each other personally, and we have seen each other through ups and downs, like you mentioned, and supported each other, because if someone's like out for surgery or a family matter, we are there for each other, and they're good guys. They really are. I really have a solid team, which I really appreciate. And then everyone else, it's a very cordial, professional relationship. I'm not one to go with everybody on Friday to the bar across the street. I don't think I've only been there when someone's leaving.
For the farewell party.
Right.
Yeah, but it's interesting, because you do have to create that chemistry that's on the set, but it's not always exactly the same as people think it is.
Right. And my friends like my friends who are not in TV, I think they see a different person.
Yeah.
You get to see both.
Right. I do see both of you, but
you see more of the off-camera Audrey than the on-camera Audrey.
That's true. Sure. That's very true. I mean, we've done things like walk our kids to school. We've done, remember when we went to the white party? I was looking at those pictures the other day. That was so funny. You got tickets somehow to this thing called the white party.
It's,
and we dressed up.
Dinner en blanc. It happens all over the world. Right. You don't know where the dinner is, but everything is in white, and they're very strict. Everything is white, from not only your outfit, but the table. You have to bring your own table. You have to bring your own tablecloth, silverware, glasses, everything. We brought a vase with white flowers.
We took a boat somewhere. Where did we go?
It was Governor's Island.
That's right. It's Governor's Island.
Right.
I remember it did rain, though, at the end.
We got out of there. We got out of there right before though.
Yeah. Few sprinkles. We got on the ferry. We were out of there.
It was
We're
an
at peace.
experience.
We know.
Yeah.
It's raining. We're out of here, people. We are not running for this boat.
We did.
So that was fun. We've been to the beach together a million times. I was just
Yeah.
trying to think of like all the fun things we've done. Oh, you know what? Remember the other thing I wanted to remind you of is remember when I talked you into the Spartan race? The Spartan race was so great, you guys.
But that was like within weeks of doing the Empire State Building climb as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that one.
And we've
too.
also climbed the One World Trade Center as well.
Right.
I mean,
I've roped you into a few.
in fact, I remember the Spartan race specifically because I basically laughed my way through that whole thing. And Ralphie Aversa was with us.
yeah.
Okay, I remember, and Stephanie Abrams too. And I remember Stephanie saying to me at one point, she goes, "Next time Amy Freeze texts me to do anything, I'm not answering." Like it's so true. It started with a text.
Throw a javelin across.
Every time she texts us, it's to do something physical. Like,
Yeah,
like
that was so fun.
because
Oh
you're
my
not one
gosh.
to like go out like let's go to the bars or anything like that.
No.
It's not your thing. You like challenges. You like
Yeah.
races, community events.
I like if it ties back into charity, of course, too.
You do, but you like
it's funny.
community things, like team building things. You like all that. So whenever there's an invitation from Amy Freeze, it's to do something that's strenuous.
Yeah.
So involves sweating.
Yeah,
Right?
that was funny. That was a good one.
And it's
I could
always
think
a
some good
challenge of
ones.
some
Yeah.
sort.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we have lots of adventures in the future.
We will.
I love you. I admire you as a meteorologist, and I love you as a friend. And I just think
Same.
the world of you. And what you've accomplished is inspiring to so many people on different levels. So I love
gosh,
you.
I
I'm
love
hugging
you
you right
too.
now, even though we're on camera.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks for coming and saying hello, and everybody follow Audrey.